Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan. It's been a little bit of time since we talked about Total War, mostly because, well, I'll be honest with you, I needed a bit of a break. Like, really, there's been a lot of drama going on, and at certain points I just realized I needed to take a step back and actually have some time to breathe. But we're going to be talking about a few things now, as I've seen a lot of people asking about Thrones of Decay. The fact is, yes, while everything is not going too well for Total War right now, Shadows of Change being, well, again, not really the premium DLC that we deserved, people are hoping that Creative Assembly have learned for this for the next DLC, which was, well, as far as we were aware, scheduled to be this year, you know? They did state in a blog that it was going to be at the end of this year. However, I do have reason to believe that we might not see it until next year, which we're going to talk about. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but we do have to get some context in here, right? So the first thing is, at the beginning of October, we did get a statement. Well, it wasn't really a statement, it was a message on the Total War Warhammer forums from CA Freeman, which stated that nothing's really changed from the previously discussed schedule. As far as we were all aware, that meant that we had to expect everything that was already laid out. So patch 4.1 around mid-October, as is the usual case, and then we would get, at the end of November / beginning of December, Thrones of Decay before Creative Assembly break for Christmas. This is something that they always do. They always break around the 15th or 16th of December until the first week of January. I know some people might have some thoughts on that, but it's been embedded in their company culture for a while. And to be honest, like every company, well, not every company, but I know a lot of them do. One of my previous jobs was pretty much the same. We'd break around that time and we'd come back after the 6th, usually more or less. However, a few days ago on the CA forums, there was a response by CA King Gobbo, which kind of makes us think that things are being changed. It's kind of interesting that this was wildly left unnoticed until only about 2 days ago, but let's read over it, right? So the conversation was about, well, pretty much patching, how that works, and if 4.1 and the other stuff is still going on. The response is as follows. No worries, we all want to be able to engage with you guys a lot more, and sometimes it can be tricky when the waters are rough and there isn't any official news to share. We'll keep striving to be more present, especially here in the CA community, so you get to know us all better. I'm just going to put a little bit of a comment here. Yes, it does seem to be a lot more devs commenting in the CA forums. In fact, some devs that I know and I speak to personally are talking there more, which is a good thing. Hopefully this stays. I know that Creative Assembly have this moment where they think, okay, everything's fine, we don't have to talk as much anymore, but more communication is in fact better. Now, here's the second part. I'm afraid, as I alluded to, no one will have any official news to share right now. The devs are still hard at work on the next major patches, but the recent changes to the organization mean the timelines, content, etc. have to be reviewed before we have anything to share. We're eager to get our hands on news we can share and discuss with you, so as soon as we know something, we'll make sure you all know it too, and help provide you with some peace of mind. So essentially that means no news for a while. Understandable, we do know that Creative Assembly are going through some staff changes. Well, I mean, there's been so many leaks going on that it pretty much just confirms that everything right now is on fire. These things naturally lead to delays, but that necessarily isn't going to be a bad thing if we look at the bigger picture here. Shadows of Change was pretty much done in an atrocious way. Lack of content despite promising a lot, and, well, yeah, the adjoining patch was also kind of bad. The patch prior to that was awful too. If Creative Assembly have learnt from this mistake, and I imagine that they would, considering that there was a massive review bomb, a lot of people have stopped playing, modders have quit, it's not just the player base, it's literally people trying to keep the game alive, then they would probably take advantage of this situation and say, okay, if we move this back, well, we can probably get some more work done. I mean, that's the best case scenario. I very highly doubt that Creative Assembly are going to make the same mistake twice. Well, they do make that same mistake over and over, but I don't imagine that they're going to do it consecutively. Somewhere some monkey paw has just closed up. I'm pretty certain of that. Speaking in the most honest way possible, I do think that Thrones of Decay is basically going to decide what's going to happen with Total War Warhammer's future, and potentially that of CA. They've got no other active titles barring Pharaoh, and yeah, Pharaoh's not really doing so well. They need a win, and the only way that they're going to get a win is if they make a absolutely massive DLC. If they want Thrones of Decay to sell well, it's going to have as much, if not more, content than, say, for example, a race pack like the Chaos Dwarves. If it doesn't, and it brings as much content as Shadows of Change had, well, it's going to be another major shit show, and again, Sega will probably have to get involved. Believe me, nobody wants that, considering that they're already firing a fairly large number if the rumors are to be believed, and yeah, it's not good, right? We don't want this to happen to the main franchise. I don't think any of us wanted this to happen to the devs behind Hyenas too. Sure, that's not a game that we liked, but seems a bit extreme when that money was already funded, right? Now, I know what you must be thinking, I'm trying to huff some copium or whatever you guys call it nowadays, but the fact of the matter is we have to look at things as realistically as possible. This could be doomed to fail, like I mentioned before, or it could actually work out quite well for us. We also have to take into account that if this possible delay does actually happen, then we shouldn't really expect the Slaanesh DLC in spring, we should maybe expect it in summer, and afterwards, future DLC might radically change. A very educated guess could say that we could probably see a Khorne DLC afterwards. Seeing as they've done Tzeentch, they're going to do Nurgle and then afterwards Slaanesh, but I imagine that things might actually change and they might focus on trying to bring in some bigger name characters to generate sales, because yes, they need money right now, it's fairly obvious. Total War Warhammer is not going to make the 100 million back that was lost for Hyena's development, but it's going to try and get a little bit of a dent in there, so this would be characters like Thanquol, Nagash, Bugman, if he's not in Thrones of Decay, and I'd like to hope that he's in Thrones of Decay. But now's not really the time for content speculation, it's more about talking about the possible future. I don't want to see this game die. I don't think many of you guys watching want to see this game die. At the end of the day, we are Warhammer fans, or we are Total War fans, and sometimes both. And the idea is, we want to see them do better. The only way that we're going to get them to do better is if we keep vocal, and they also start listening to us. They being the managers, because it's clear that the developers are trying their best. I know some people would think otherwise, but they're trying to communicate, and remember that at the end of the day, when it comes to being a frontline worker, you know, a basic developer, community member, and so on, they're doing what their managers say. It's just like you have to do what your managers say too. The main thing to take from all of this is that the next few months will be make or break for Creative Assembly, not just Total War Warhammer 3. It's very important that they actually do listen and we see some actual changes. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. I do apologize if I sound weird today. I'm dealing with a little bit of a flu, which surprisingly is kicking my ass more than usual. I don't know why. But yeah, have a good day, guys, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.